letting go of employees is one of the hardest things, and I hate letting go of people because I know I'm causing a lot of negativity. Other team members might like them. It's not an easy process, but it's necessary to keep your team healthy and productive by letting bad people go. Unfortunately, it happens, and as painful as it is, it's even more painful to keep a bad person on your team. Today, we're diving into a tough but a very important topic, knowing when to let go of employees who aren't the right fit for the team. Hey, welcome back to Build with VAs, the podcast where we help you scale your business using virtual assistants. Today, we're diving into a tough but a very important topic, knowing when to let go of employees who aren't the right fit for the team. Now, this show focuses mostly on virtual assistants. We talk about VAs here all the time, but what I'm about to share with you today is not exclusive to just remote workers. In-house employees, if you have some, can also fall into these categories. So letting someone go can be very hard, but it's very important. It's a necessary evil for the overall health and the growth of the company. So whether you have remote workers, whether you have in-house employees, what you're about to hear today is going to be very useful, so stay tuned. So today I'm going to share with you 10 types of employees you might need to let go for the good of your team and the company. So number one is people who don't want to grow with you. Now, these employees are content with their current role and they shy away from learning something new or taking on new challenges. Now, whether you're a remote worker or you're in the office, this reluctance to work can actually hold your business back. You need team members who are eager to learn, people who adapt as your company evolves. And the only constant in business is change, right? Businesses change, businesses pivot. So if you don't have people in your company who are ready to go through this change with you, then maybe they're not the right people for you. Your company might be adopting to new technology, and some employees just aren't interested in learning, or they might not be a fit, or they don't want to learn something new. And we actually had a case like that in one of the companies I worked with. We implemented a new technology. Our business had to change. We had to implement something new. And especially now with the, upcoming of AI and everything that's happening, everybody goes through this change. But anyway, long story short, that employee, she was just rolling her eyes every time we talked about the new CRM or the new technology or the new things. It was so difficult to work with that person. And what happened is everybody just avoid working with her, or just because we knew how negatively she would react to that. So if you have people like that who don't want to grow with you, who don't want to change, who resist that change, maybe it would best to let them go just because of the toxicity or the overall, feeling that they create inside the company. Number two is toxic employees. Yes, even if they're skilled. Now, a toxic employee can be very harmful, no matter how skilled they are. And this is what's actually keeping a lot of toxic employees in the company, because they produce results. A lot of them do. Because if you had someone toxic and they didn't perform, you would let them go. You would be the easiest decision ever, right? You don't want any headache. But this is the dilemma that you're going through. They produce great results, and yet they can be so harmful for the company. I know we had a person who, that lady could work for 3 people. 3 people, we had to hire 3 people when we let her go just to, do what she was doing. 1 person. So it made sense financially, it made sense, just everything was so great. But man, that toxicity is just not something that we could tolerate. People like this, they can complain without reasons. They gossip. You feel like you have to walk on eggshells around them. They spread negativity and cause a drama inside the company, So in our company right now at HireTrainVA, we have a zero policy, zero tolerance for drama. But the reason we put so much emphasis on that is because we've seen in other companies, we've had other previous experiences where we have seen bad drama and we see how negative and detrimental it can be to any company. So yes, even if someone is skilled, if they have a bad attitude, this can hurt the team morale and overall the work environment. So if they have skills they need, that's great, but their impact on team cohesion is going to cost you a lot more in the long run. So I guess in a situation like that, it's important to consider whether their contribution outweighs the damage they cause. And a lot of the times this damage is substantial and long-term, and you might not see it right away, but if one person is toxic and they spread this drama and negativity, more people become toxic, and overall your whole company can collapse. So if you have someone in your company right now that is like that, have a conversation with them, discuss where you stand and your policy and everything everything that you need to have in the company. Again, because of the personality of this person, you might feel like you're walking on eggshells. They may start to point fingers at someone. They will not just accept criticism. Or because you talk to them, they might actually talk to other people in the company and just make things worse. So it's really good to consider. But in our company, this is something we don't tolerate. So we let these people go immediately. Number 3. Oh man, this is so important. Let go of people you must deem yourself for. And I know what I'm saying, because you as a business owner, you are the person with a vision. You are the person with the fire. You are the person with the motivation. You are the person who wants to grow and scale your business. And you shouldn't have to hide your ambition to make someone else feel secure. And I know you might say it makes sense, but trust me when I say I've seen it so many times. You know that an employee or a virtual assistant or whoever you have on the team, a team member, will not like it. Or you know they will come up with reasons why this will not work. And because of that, you're dimming your own light, you're dimming your own ambition to make them feel more secure. You feel like you're maybe overpowering them. And it happens a lot. If this doesn't happen in your company, this is very good. But if it does happen, I just want you to be aware of this. This is very common. So if you feel embarrassed sharing your big goals because an employee might judge them, then it's time to reassess their place in your company. Because if someone doesn't share or doesn't support your company's vision, they most likely won't even help you achieve those goals. So it's crucial to have a team member who is aligned with your dreams, because otherwise these people will hold you back. Yeah, so if an employee who dismisses ambitious ideas or projects as unrealistic will never be fully invested in your success. So the reason I know that is because if you go to your team and you say, hey team, I have this idea, and they say, no, this is not going to work. Okay, why won't it work? Well, because of this. If they're naysayers, if they're always negative, they don't have good justification or reports or data or numbers why this doesn't work or why this hasn't worked, then, it's just not the best situation for your company. I always say one thing. I would rather have an average idea, but put it in the hands of a skillful, great team, because I know they will make it work. But if I have a great idea and if I put it in the hands of an average team, my idea will never grow. It might stay average, or it might actually die inside because it's not, the right people are not taking care of that. So just the fact that you have great idea, make sure you put it in great hands, because that's how you can make good changes in the company. And if you don't have the right person, then look for the right person for this job. Number 4 is people you can rely on or you feel they need to micromanage. I'm a busy entrepreneur. I don't have time to micromanage people. And yes, we have the tools where we track people's hours, where we can see, if necessary, I can go ahead and see the screenshots, what they did. We all work with virtual assistants, so I have the tools to do this. I don't have the time to micromanage that. I don't want to spend time during my day and go to HubStaff or TimeDoc, whatever you're using, and then check in and making sure the employee is actually working, or texting them and be, hey, where are you? You haven't replied in 5 minutes. I don't need this kind of work additional on my plate. So if you always have to watch over someone's work, or you can't trust them to get the job done, it might mean they don't fit. Okay, you don't have time to babysit your employees, and you need to be able to rely on your people. That's why you hire them. You hire people to make your life easier. You don't need to babysit them, because these employees who always need to be micromanaged, they can disrupt workflow. They can take your focus away from your bigger priorities. So instead of you focusing on where to move the company, you will be stuck in checking whether or not that employee fits. And we have done that sometimes only when I feel like the output, what I'm getting from a virtual assistant, doesn't match the hours that they say they worked. So for example, they say I worked 80 hours these 2 weeks, and this is the output, this is what I got. I'm like, this doesn't look like a job that needs 80 hours to be done. And that's when I can go back and check. And a lot of the times we have identified these red flags. I could see hours and hours of non-performance, 0% worked. I could see idle time, again, in the time tracking software. So it's a good thing to have this software. But what I'm saying is I'm only going there if I necessarily have to. And because of that information, I said, I can't justify the 80 hours. I don't see the output. This costs me a lot more paying you for 80 hours for the little thing that I'm getting in return. So we had to let that person go. So again, just kind of like thinking this, do not spend your time micromanaging. It's time to reconsider hiring for this role if you have a person like that. Number 5, we kind of briefly touched upon that. It's employees that are resistant to change. Change is a constant in business, right? Like I said that. The only thing that's constant in business is change. And employees who resist change and can adapt, they can slow down progress. So you need to have a team that embraces new challenges. If an employee resists new work policies or technology or a new team member, that can hinder companies' adaptation to market demands and it can stifle innovation. And if you read the book, Who Moved My Cheese, that's a great little book. It's story-like, it's fun, you can read it in an hour, but the idea is so big. Businesses change. The cheese is moving, right? As we say in the business world, the cheese is moving. The market changes. You have to adapt to this. You got to go find new cheese, so to speak, right? You have to find ways to save your business. So if you have employees in the company who are like one of the mice that are in the book who is resistant to change, who was just sitting there hoping for cheese to reappear because it's always been there and it doesn't get back. So if you have employees like that who are not going on the hunt with you, who are not looking to adapt and change, then you don't have the right team. So you got to have a team that is open and flexible to change. That is essential for evolution. Number 6 is employees who have ethical or integrity issues. Now, some of the things that I mentioned up until this point can be solved with a warning. Hey, I don't like how this is going. You're going to get a warning. If this doesn't improve, you can be let go, right? So I like to be fair. But when it comes to ethical or integrity issues, this is, again, one of those situations when we have a zero tolerance for that. Integrity is one of our core values, and if someone violates that person is being let go immediately. No one should be surprised that they're being let go. No one should be shocked that they're being let go. So that means they're either not performing, which again can be corrected with some warning, some additional training and whatnot. But also, if they have integrity, if they steal information, if they deliberately do something to harm your business, again, they should not be surprised that they're being let go immediately. Because you might be thinking, I can't let go someone immediately. They have a family to provide for. They have, and if they stop getting money, how will they do this? Well, they should have thought about this before they did something behind your back, before they breached any integrity, before they broke the trust that you put in them. So employees who lie, falsify information, mislead others, this really undermines this trust that you think that person has with you, right? And this behavior, when I say integrity issues, it can range from, there's a lot of range, like what is integrity breach? It can be from minor dishonesty to actual serious acts of fraud, and it can cause significant harm to the company. Dishonest behavior can lead to financial harm, distrust, of course. So employees who engage in unethical practices, who violate company policies, who compromise the company's ethical standards should be let go immediately. And unfortunately, this happens. And no, this is not exclusive to virtual assistants. Someone who works in-house can do that just as well. I actually recently spoke with an entrepreneur. She just called me on the phone out of the blue and actually saw me on the podcast and said, hey, I just kind of want to share with you my experience that I have had with virtual assistants. They stole the information from me. That happened. So then I'm like, okay, well, I'm sorry you had to go through this. This is really painful. So I had to understand, how did you find that person? Did you put them to a test? Did you check references? Because this can happen. But then I asked, do you think this could have happened if you hired someone here locally? And she said, yeah, I guess it's not exclusive. No, it's not a VA versus in-house employee issue. This is a personal issue. This is a core value issue. So that's why even when we write a job ad, we put our core values in the ad, because people who don't identify with our values, I don't want them in our company, because integrity is such an important part for us. We talk about this, we share it everywhere. So if someone deliberately breaches that integrity, they're not surprised that they have to be let go. Number 7 is employees or virtual assistants who constantly underperform. Yes, that can happen. If they consistently underperform despite support, despite the training, despite all the efforts, despite all the tools that you gave that person, then of course it can drag down overall productivity. So it's important to address these issues. Maybe they need more training. Maybe they need additional support. Maybe they need something else. Or maybe you just need to let them go. Now, it's important to understand, what is underperformance? Do you have KPIs for the person? Are they aware of what you require of them in order for them to deliver a good job? Are those KPIs the same as other companies in the same industry as you, as your competitors? Are they realistic? If you were to do that job or someone else were to do that job, would the results be the same? So then you can assess whether or not this performance lacks or if it's a good one. So if performance reviews repeatedly show the same issue without improvement, then it might be time to part ways. Because consistent underperformance, of course, it can affect the entire team, and it hinders company's performance, company's progress, and it makes it necessary for you to look at alternatives. Number 8 is employees who don't fit the company culture. Again, we kind of briefly touched upon this, but company culture is the beating heart of your organization. And it's very important, the very first people that you hire, it's very important that you hire them very well, because they will be the ones to carry your culture to the next people that you're going to hire. So have your core people, your most reliable people during the first hire, have them understand what it is that you need, what is true to you as a person, as a business owner, what is your company's culture. Your culture should be your company's culture, because otherwise you can't lead a company that has completely different beliefs or different values than you do. Okay? If your company's culture is integrity, then it has to be your core value as well. And you have to attract people that have the same culture and the same values as you. So this is what is culture overall. This is a unique blend of values, beliefs, practices that define how a company operates, and it has to start with you. These beliefs, these practices you have to do them, and you also have to show them to your team as well. Because if your team sees that you're acting in a different way, then you talk the talk but you don't walk the walk, then they're not going to trust you, and they will think, oh, it's okay for us to behave that way too. So when the culture is strong, it propels the organization forward. It fosters innovation, better teamwork, and loyalty. That's very important. But if someone doesn't fit in this culture mosaic, then you can create a lot of disruption. So this is kind of like, I want you to imagine like an orchestra where everybody sings in tune and there's one musician that's out of tune. And believe me when I say it, you will hear it. The music is so beautiful, but your ear, you will focus on that one musician that is out of tune. And even though you're not a music pro, you will hear it. It's the same thing with a company. You might have the whole team working together as a unit, but if one person doesn't fit, no one likes that melody. No one, you're just not gonna like the results you're getting. So make sure everyone on the team is aware of your culture and what you stand for. Because we talk about culture, I have a whole episode on culture alone. Make sure to watch it. I'll leave the link here. Number 9 on our list of the people you need to let go of is unmotivated employees or virtual assistants. It doesn't matter if you hire locally, it doesn't matter if you work with freelancers, people have to be motivated. Those who lack motivation and enthusiasm, or they don't like what they do, they will really hurt the team morale. They may not care about their work or the company's goals, and that of course that affects the whole team, even though they may not necessarily work directly with everybody on the team, but everyone they interact with, they will feel this kind of negativity. So if an employee frequently misses deadlines or they require constant reminders, think about what it's going to do to your team morale. Let's say if you have A players in your company who are always giving their best, and then you have someone who's mediocre, misses deadlines, you have to send them reminders, you have to beg them to give you the work. What kind of motivation, what kind of message does that send to your A players? Your A players will be like, wait a minute, why am I working so hard when my boss tolerates mediocrity? Why am I going the extra mile when I can just not care about that deadline, because apparently there are no consequences to this. It's okay in this company. So when you have an unmotivated employee, think about how this is affecting the rest of the team. Lack of motivation can impact team energy and just productivity. So it's very crucial to reevaluate this person's fit into the company. And last but not least, people who have no ownership is one of my biggest pet peeve ever. Yeah, everything that I talked so far here is very important. But people who have no ownership, and unfortunately I hate to admit it, but this is not just virtual assistant employees. Some companies that I work with, some clients that I work with, there are some people you interact with, some family members, some of your friends. People who don't have ownership are overall not a good fit for you. They are never to blame for anything. They always point fingers at everything. If something goes well, of course they take the credit. If something goes bad, they are never to be blamed. They never take responsibility for their mistakes. And like I said, they constantly shift blame to others. So this behavior can lead to a lot of tension and distrust within the team, because this lack of accountability is a significant red flag that might necessitate dismissal if it cannot be corrected. Again, when we hire people, I don't want to force someone to have ownership. I don't have to train someone to have ownership. I want to find people who naturally have that trait and who wouldn't have it any other way. So that's why company culture and everything we spoke in this episode, everything blends together. You can't separate these two. You need to have a culture fit. If ownership is important to you, you need to attract people who have ownership as well. Because this is what happens when you work with someone who blames others. Team members will be hesitant to collaborate with that employee because they will be afraid that if something happens, they will be blamed and they can actually lose their job. And that's something beyond their control. I know I wouldn't want to work with someone if there's someone in the company who always blames others, not themselves. I wouldn't want to work with that person because I understand that they might blame me and I might lose their job while they look good in the boss's eyes. So recognizing the blame shifter can be challenging because they often excel at redirecting attention away from their own shortcomings. So the way you can do this is look for patterns of behavior where the individual consistently avoids taking responsibility and frequently points fingers at others. Analyze this, take the person out, take the emotions out, and just look at the facts. This is what's happening. What's the pattern? Is there a pattern here? And they may use excuses and deflective language as well, such as, it wasn't my fault, or, well, so-and-so didn't give me the right information, and so on. So I'll tell you an example. We're looking for a copywriter for our company and for one of our clients, and I sent a test to a couple of virtual assistants, and I said, look, I don't want you to work for free. Just send 1 or 2 paragraphs. I really want to see your style. Okay. So we got a couple of works back, a couple of samples back, and I sent them to the client who was interested in hiring them. And then I reported back the feedback. Okay, here's what the client said about you. Good intro, but this needs to be changed. That needs to be adjusted. Maybe they can redo it. So I sent that to the person, and the reply I got back was like, well, it's not my fault. You told me 1 or 2 paragraphs, so I did exactly what you said. It's not my fault they didn't like it. Which in reality, I can understand. I really did say that write 1 to 2 paragraphs. The other people who submitted samples, they put more effort into this. They wanted to put the whole article that they wrote for copywriting. This person had 0 ownership, even though his work was not bad, but the way he took it and pointed fingers, even now at this stage where, you're supposed to impress a client, this is the honeymoon period, so to speak. And they just kind of took that liberty to speak that way. Of course, I, took the higher ground. I apologized, but I admitted that, but it kind of left a bad feeling like there could have been a better way for you to say that. It could have been like, I am so sorry, I missed that. I think the reason is that because I focused on the 1 to 2 paragraphs, but you know what, I can fix it, no problem. I'm glad he found that my work is good. And especially at the beginning, because that was my work 100%. So I can make the rest of paragraph that way so the client likes it. Whatever it is, there's different ways how you can handle situations like that. And because of his lack of ownership, things didn't work out the way. We actually found a very, very good person who just hits all the boxes. But, just kind of an example here, what to look for when you hire employees and who you need to let go and what not to tolerate. Whew, that was a good one, right? That was a long one as well. I'll finish by saying this. Letting go of employees is one of the hardest things and one of the things I don't like doing. I hate letting go of people because I know I'm causing a lot of negativity. Other team members might like them. Other team members might be afraid that, oh, if you let him go, what if I'm next? What if you're looking to cut costs? It's not an easy process. So in order for you to minimize letting go of people, do the right thing at the beginning. Hire the right people. Set the right expectations. Talk about culture. Talk about importance. Look at KPIs. Let people know. Give them training. Give them warnings if necessary. But a lot of the times, unfortunately, despite all this effort, it's necessary to keep your team healthy and productive by letting bad people go. Unfortunately, it happens, and as painful as it is, it's even more painful to keep a bad person on your team. So thank you for tuning in to Build with VAs. I'm your host, Valentina Brega. I had fun coming up here in front of you and talking about this important topic today. And I hope you'll join me next time where we address another important thing on how to work with virtual assistant. See you soon.